Hey there, and welcome to a little bit of a lesson on prison weapons. It's great to see all of you again. So some of us were interested earlier in the year on learning about shanks and learning about prison slang and tools, etc. So let's take a little brief look through all the things that can stab you in prison. So number one, here's a little table that lists that most weapons are actually shanks, so some sort of improvised thing meant to stab somebody. What you can see right here is a toothbrush that has a razor blade melted into it. So a shaving razor blade, toothbrush is melted, that's put in there, and that could be used to slash somebody. So that's followed by daggers, razors, saps. Now, a sap is usually a heavy weight at the end of a flexible handle, so like a padlock in a sock. So think about your school locker locks, put into a sock and then hit somebody with it. They also call those locksy soxies. Those are some of the weapons and statistics. What you can see here is some of the things that inmates have fashioned. So we've got a knife, we've got a spoon that has been turned into a knife, a nail, we have a toothbrush that's been sharpened. So some prisons only have toothbrushes about this big now. So you have this tiny little mini toothbrush, so they can't be used to stab people. You've got a tenderizer, they call this, and that's where they put nails into a piece of wood and use it to punch people. And then over here, you can actually see, let's move my body down here. You can actually see a whip, so it's a stick, and then there's razor blades on the end, and this is kind of like a cat of nine tails or a scourge. So it goes into somebody, and then when you pull it out, sometimes it'll often pull chunks of a person's flesh out with it. Okay. Here are just some other types of shanks. You can see this one has softness on it so that your hand won't get hurt, and then it's got sort of a chain, metallic chain on there. This has several nails coming out of the front, so you can club people, you can hurt people with it. And you can see that there's lots of confiscated weapons in general in prison. Here is a fascinating one, and what that is it's actually toilet paper or paper that's been soaked over time and made into like hard paper mache that you can then hold in order to stab somebody. This right here is called a zip gun. So anytime you have a tube, if you can get a bullet into that, and then you can create a hammer, sometimes with an elastic or a rubber band or just a hammer, you can create an improvised guns. They're very inaccurate, and not often are they made in prison. I'm going to go move myself up again here, and then go back to our show. And then you can see all these sort of razor blade toothbrush ideations right here. So other tools that we're going to learn about are you can actually make yourself a tattoo gun. So here's a tattoo, but look, it looks incredibly infected and disturbing there. So these students know these, they're stick and poke tattoos, but you can make little motors on them, etc. So they're not really allowed in prisons, but often people will give tattoos. And so I remember once talking to a fellow. I said, "Oh, where did you get your tattoo?" He had a little ladybug right here on his hand. And he said, "Oh, I got it in the inside." And I'm like, "Well, what tattoo parlor?" And he goes, "I got it inside." And I'm like, "Inside which tattoo parlor?" He goes, "No, inside." And that's slang for inside prison. Pruno is homemade wine, so human beings will find ways to drink alcohol. So Pruno is often fruit, sugar, and yeast. Sometimes they'll make it in their toilet bowls and ferment it in there. Other times they'll put it in Ziploc bags and sort of bury it around the prison, mash it up, and wait for the sugars and the yeast to take over. And this type of stuff is very dangerous, of course. Others will run electric currents through it in order to distill liquor. So once it becomes liquor, they heat it up. There's tubes that take it and then drop the liquor into a container. It's super unhealthy for you, of course, and possibly dangerous. So that's just a little look at some prison weapons and some prison culture. I'd encourage you very much to go and look up the prison slang words to find out what it's like for prisoners in prison. Thanks very much, and we'll see you soon.